Well, welcome back to Focus today. Our guest is Soorin Backer, who's with us via Skype. And Soorin is a speaker at the upcoming Pearls of Hope conference. Now, we've been telling you a little bit about that, but we're going to find out more. If you haven't heard about it, the date's coming up really soon in Ashland from March 9th through the 11th. And Soorin is with us. Hello, Soorin. Thanks for coming in.
Good morning. It's nice to be here again.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Pearls of Hope. There may be people who aren't familiar with what this conference is all about, and it's coming up in just a few days, really. Describe what you see is happening at this conference.
You know, when we began this conference, we had no idea it was going to be more than one. And our dream and desire really was to see people be personally ministered to and just spend some quality time pursuing the Lord and hear what He has to say for them. So it's a conference that's more focused on personal ministry than some of the other conferences you might attend.
All right, describe, when you say personal ministry, what are you talking about?
We have a lot of time for prophetic intercession, and people can sign up for personal prayer times. We do have a team of 12 coming up from Bethel Church in Redding, California, and you can sign up for 10 minutes of just prophetic prayer times where you're just hearing from the Lord what He's saying over your life in a personal way. And after every session, especially in the evenings, we have a whole team of prayer warriors go up, and we spend time listening to what people's needs are, and we pray for them.
Okay, so it sounds like prayer is a big component of all of this. You have speakers, though, like yourself. Give us a range of, do you know what the topics are that will be covered during this multi-day event?
We have about 8 speakers lined up. We have 2 speakers from Bethel Church coming up. We also have Garris Elkin, who's a local prophetic voice in Medford area. I myself am speaking, and we have some testimonies that are being released. So we do have 8 speakers, and there's 13 teaching sessions going on in just 3 days. Our dream was to really impact people as deep as they can go and to not waste any time. If you're going to spend this kind of time and resource on a conference, we want to just give the Lord as much time as possible to talk to every single person there.
And what is a theme that you're bringing to the conference personally yourself?
I feel like the theme of our ministry really is getting set free from religion. And we have a lot of Christians who do the formulaic thing, and we do what we are taught to do because we don't know any better sometimes. And I myself am a pastor's daughter. I grew up in the church. I went to the seminary. I have a master's in theology. But it took me so many years to understand what a personal relationship with Jesus looks like and what it feels like when you're actually living it out. And I found that as I do women's ministry or youth ministry, that many people really don't know how to pursue God or be in His presence. We do a checklist of Christian activity of going to church, reading the Bible 10 minutes a day. We do the prayer thing, but they don't know how to live in constant connection with the presence of the Lord.
Oh, that's interesting. The verse that comes to mind is to be in constant prayer, pray without ceasing, and that's really an existence, not just a thing to do. And so is that the kind of the concept you're talking about, how you integrate your life with what it means to have a personal relationship with Christ?
Yeah, it's just really living a Spirit-led life, not just about, for the charismatic Christians, sometimes when we talk about Spirit-led life, we talk about speaking in tongues, or we talk about going to a Spirit-filled church. But really a Spirit-filled and Spirit-led life has to do with constant, intimate connection with the Lord and hearing His voice and His will for our lives in any given moment. It's being always aware that we live in His presence. And I think if we lose that connection with the Lord and we don't understand what that means, that's where a lot of the failures of big ministries happen, because they're involved in religious activity. They're involved in serving the church, and they mean well, but they forget that their primary audience is the Lord Himself.
Very interesting. Now, the Old Testament, Isaiah 61, apparently this has a real kind of a touch point with you. Describe what is it about that book and that chapter that really hits you hard?
You know, after being a pastor's daughter and being in ministry myself, and like I said, studying the Bible the best that I knew how, there just came a point where I was so filled with despair. And this is why our conference is called Hope. I was filled with so much anxiety and fear, and I just thought, God's not big enough for my issues. You know, there's been a lot of abuse and trauma in my life, as many women have gone through, many men have gone through. And there just came a point when I turned about 40 where I realized Christianity is not big enough for me. What I've learned in church, what I've learned in doctrines and theology and books, and what I'm doing, reading the Bible every day, it's just not meeting me at my heart level. So there came a point where I just had to go before God and say, okay, God, I'm just throwing away all doctrines that I think I know of you. You have to show up for me as the good, loving father you promised me to be. And if you don't show up in that way, I might as well die anyway. I'm in so much depression. I'm in so much pain. My heart is so broken. What is the point of having this religion if you can't meet me at my heart level? And at that point, the Lord really showed up and began to show me that he was not a set of beliefs. He's not a set of doctrines. He's not a proper way to read the Bible. He's not about church attendance. It was about that connection that sets us free from the things of this world, from the pain of this world, and understanding who I'm originally designed to be. Not what everybody else expects me to be, but what the Creator originally designed me to be.
You know, it sounds like that's kind of a restarting point that a lot of people may have, and they may go the opposite direction, though, and then just throw it all away without saying, you know what, maybe there's some answers. I'm on the wrong track, and I need to get back where I need to be. It reminds me of, I don't remember if it was a book or an article that I saw where someone had the title, "What if everything you believed was wrong?" And it wasn't to say that everything you've been believing was a lie, but it was that point to reevaluate, to say there are things that we assume we think we know the answers to. And yet, if we were to be called on the carpet to say, oh, well, all right, why do you believe that? We'd have a hard time justifying it. It's because, well, because I've always thought this way, but without the basis to say, well, here's why, and come to some decision. Was that the kind of point where you were at?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's kind of like, to use an old, analogy everybody's familiar with, just reading the Bible and listening to sermons. It's like listening to somebody else's idea of God. So it's trying to get to know somebody maybe by the letters they've written to someone they love, but not knowing the person and never having met them. And that's a very limited way of getting to know someone. You can know an aspect of them, but you can't really have the full feel of the person and claim that there's a relationship there. And I remember when I really started pursuing God and hearing him and asking him to show up, and he just never fails. He always does, because he's a loving father. I remember one day he said to me, welcome to a friendship with me. You're now my coffee friend and not just a party friend. And I didn't understand what that meant, but he kind of gave me this picture where I was one of those people who always showed at the same parties that he was at, but I never interacted with him. So we were familiar with who we were, but we weren't intimate. But a coffee friend is someone you sit across the table with, linger over a cup of coffee, and just talk for hours, and an intimacy gets built up. So that's kind of what the Lord really began to do with me, is teach me what relationship with him really looks like and feels like, and live out of that.
Do you find that some of the people who come to your conference maybe are feeling the chains of what might be called spiritual legalism in their life?
Yeah.
Again, they've been doing something for so long and they can't rationalize why they do it, but it's what they feel. If they didn't do it, it'd seem wrong, but they keep doing it seems wrong too.
Right. It's that whole sense of, if I check the right things, then I should be happy.
Yeah.
If I'm doing the right moral things, then I'm a good Christian. And it's really a life of independence. It's really a life of living alone, and that's not what the Lord designed us for. It's not for us to just do the right things. It's to connect with him so deeply that we become like him. And out of that nature of transformation and really living like Jesus and being like Jesus with the Father, everything else is impacted in our lives.
All right, Soorin Backer is the upcoming speaker for the Pearls of Hope Conference. We'll give you more details. Ashland, March 9th through 11th, and how you can get that information from there. When people come to this conference and then they leave, is there a support mechanism for them so that they're not like all on their own?
Well, we do have conferences twice a year, and any prayer requests they send in, we have about 20 women who are actually interceding and praying for those requests. Right now, we haven't developed a very good relationship yet with local communities and churches. We're working on that. We're very, very new to the scene, so that we can give them a follow-through. Like, maybe you need to go to church every week and have fellowship. Not because you're just sitting in the pews and saying attendance, I'm a good Christian, but just to have a community of believers that can pray with you and help you and disciple you and even study the Bible with you. So we always encourage those who are attending to always connect with a local church and a community of believers so they're not alone again.
Yeah, well, that sounds great. How many people do you expect at this conference? Any idea?
We try to keep it pretty intimate since our emphasis is on personal ministry. It's always been around 150 to 200, and we kind of max out there. And as the prophetic teams increase and we have more people we know that we can trust to be part of that prophetic team, we'll increase it to a larger capacity.
Yeah, all right, sounds great. The Pearls of Hope Conference, let me give some of that information again. It's going to be at Ashland Hills, March 9th through 11th. Now, can they go to your website to sign up for it? Is that the best way?
Yes, pearlsofhopeconference.com would be the best way. And we're also giving away 2 free tickets today for those who call in. The first ones who call in will get 2 free tickets for Pearls of Hope Conference.
Oh, terrific. All right, that sounds great. Now, you've also got a personal website. What are they going to find at soorinbacker.com?
It's soorinbacker.com, just my name. No one else has a name like mine, so it's easy.
And what, they find more information about you and what you do in your personal ministry? Is that the idea?
Yeah, I've been on radio in 19 stations across 24 states in America. And we have a book coming out. It's in the final edit stage. It's called The Women in Jesus' Life. And we have this conference ministry. We also have some international mission trips as well.
Okay, so what you're saying is if people call in, 2 people call in right now, the first 2, they'll be able to get tickets to the conference, right?
Yes.
All right, I'll give the number 541-776-5368, and you'll be able to do it. And head to pearlsofhopeconference.com to find more information. Again, it'll be in Ashland, March 9th through the 11th. Thanks for being with us, Soorin.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks for joining us here on Focus today.